essential too, which, the people delivering all the food and everyone in the
Everybody,
supermarkets,
yeah.
like it's damn inspiring to see people get their dues, get like
Absolutely.
to get like some respect finally, which is awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we're going to come out of this okay. I think we're all going to be, like I said, maybe not normal, but it's going to get better soon. I'm already seeing this. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm seeing it starting to, I want to say decline, which is good.
Yeah.
Hopefully it continues to decline a little bit and we could get back to some kind of summer here and take it for what it's worth and see how it goes. And hopefully we'll be having another conversation soon about Tres and Puerto Rico and big waves.
Yes, we have to discuss your big wave exploits next time.
Yeah, man.
And your quiver,
yeah, I'm
too.
staring at all my guns right now. Yeah, it's my quiver. I'm staring at like 8 beautiful guns right now.
You got Brewers and Chapmans and all sorts of cool boards, it seems like.
I do. I got an Al Chapman right above me, single fin, sweet. Got a Rawson. I got this new one, man. I got this Stu Kenson. I don't know if you guys out there know him.
Yeah.
Actually, do you know him?
Well, I don't know him personally.
It's so amazing. Like,
yeah, I've met him.
Guys like you and Schultz and all these like awesome dudes know about him. I didn't know about him. He shapes like Joel Tudor, like mid-lengths and single fins and all these cool boards.
Yeah, he's sick.
I don't want to call him alternative shapes, but he's sick. He shapes some sick boards, but he also makes some sick guns.
He can shape anything.
I got a really sweet one over here.
That guy can shape
anything.
You give him a high performance board, he can shape you that. You want to give him a long board, he could do it. Like, that guy is just so talented and works hard.
Yeah, I'm blown away. Yeah, and he made me a sick. Honestly, I hate to say it, but it's the best gun I ever used. And no, not knocking the other shapers. So I love them too. But it's an amazing gun, and he makes these crazy twinsers and channel bonds. Man, I'm like pumped on him. I hope my knee gets better because I would love to get one for certain spots by my house this summer. If you know what I'm saying?
Gotta get that knee in rehab eventually.
That's it, man. You
seen Marty, or who are you going for that?
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, man, it was good to catch up, and thanks for reaching out.
No, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it, and I know our listeners are going to appreciate it. I think everyone, I was telling someone, like, surfers will only listen to surfers, when it comes to stuff like this. I feel like, you're told that something's dangerous from a non-surfer, you're like, you don't know. I've surfed Tres Palmas. I've surfed this, and but if a surfer with reputable, history says, no, that's dangerous, like, I think other surfers heed that warning a bit more. So it's helpful.
Yeah. And just the final word is going with that is, just, I hope everybody does take this seriously. It is a big deal, and it is unlike anything we've seen. Do what you can to keep you and your family and your friends safe. That's the best thing you can do right now until we know more, really.
All right. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
All right, Tyler. Good talking to you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
You take care, and I'll check in a little bit, all right?
Sounds good. Thanks.
You got it. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
And that was my friend Brandon. Again, really intense having to hear that, and really sobering. There's no rhyme or reason to this virus in many ways, so it's that unknown makes it obviously a little scary. Going on, we move on to Dr. J. James. Now, my friend Ron from Board Porn, maybe some of you might know him, he recommended me reach out to Dr. J. James. Now, Dr. J, as I like to call him, he grew up surfing out in Hampton Bays. Guy is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu, like, brown belt or something full on. Like, this guy is hardcore. He is not someone who shies away from danger, from what I can tell. And this guy is telling us to take this serious. So again, like, these are very credible people we're talking to who are telling us this is a very serious thing to take. And Yeah, and Dr. James, he and his wife, they're both doctors. They're both on the front lines, and it's interesting to talk to them about like how you handle dealing with your family. They have kids. How do you handle that? How do you not spread it? It's all a really interesting discussion, and we get into it here with Dr. James. So please give him a listen, and we'll see you at the closing of the show. Thanks. So we're here with Dr. James, or Dr. J, who we thought come on the show. So Dr. J, thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate it. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, about what you do, and where you're practicing and what you're seeing right now?
Sure. It's my pleasure to be on here and try to help inform you guys on some of the things that are happening. So I'm emergency medicine board certified, as well as sports medicine non-operative board certified. And I'm practicing out of a hospital in Central Jersey called St. Peter's. Mm-hmm. My wife is also an emergency medicine doctor, She is practicing out of Yale here in Connecticut. So we're both kind of, on a little opposite sides of the tri-state area, but basically, covering all the things that are happening on both ends. So, first of all, I guess I should say it's been, I would say, in my experience and been practicing for about 15 years, probably been the hardest month of my life. Seeing some of the things that I'm seeing, it's just, I leave work and I'm just there really is no respite. It's just that when you go into work the next shift, the next day, or whatever the case is, you're really going to be just picking up where you left off. And it's actually really tough to see some of the things that we're seeing.
Oh man.
And as far as some of the things that I'm seeing, I mean, I can tell you that I've got a 28-year-old woman who is in her third trimester of pregnancy, who basically is on a ventilator right now.
Oh gosh.
And I mean, she's in pretty bad condition. We're doing everything we can, almost primarily to make sure that we can let the baby still grow and kind of develop so that we can deliver the baby, because we really don't know mom's mental status at this point.
Wow.
So I bring her up because she's one of the younger patients that I've seen in such a bad condition, but also, to kind of just show that this virus doesn't really, kind of care if you're male, female, younger, older, pregnant, not pregnant. I mean, anyone is really subject to getting sick.
Wow.
It's it's pretty tough. I mean, sure, you guys all know what you're hearing on the radio, that it is primarily impacting older folks, particularly above the age of 55. And that is true. But I've seen myself a half a dozen people that are under my age. I'm 42, and under my age that are incredibly ill, that basically get put on ventilators.
I've now heard, I've talked to another friend of mine, and he was saying how there's almost no rhyme or reason to it. Like, it's hard to find any commonality to certain things, and the symptoms are almost all over the place. Some will have rashes, some will have gastrointestinal issues, some will look totally healthy, but their oxygen levels at like an 80, and then they have to be intubated, like crazy stuff like this. Is that similar?
I mean, that's absolutely true. This is you to be honest, when I will go to work, I assume that everybody has it, because it doesn't matter how they present. I basically have seen people present, like you said, with stomach issues, and sure enough, they've got it. I've seen people with just migraine-like headaches that just don't go away. They've had it. It's interesting that you bring up the rash, because that's kind of something that's been coming out maybe over the last week or so, where people are presenting with like dermatologic kind of presentations. And sure enough, they're ending up having it. So, I mean, I wish there was a way to identify, saying, okay, this person has it and that person has it, but there really isn't, because it just presents, I mean, there is no rhyme or reason, and it makes it that much more challenging for us to try to identify people that have it or don't have it. And then there's, I mean, to be honest, they're saying, 20, 25% of people potentially could have it and not even know that they're sick, because they have such minimal symptoms that, they get a runny nose and some teary eyes for a couple of days, and they're like, oh yeah, it's just a cold. Meanwhile, that's actually it. And that same virus in somebody else, if they spread it to them, can put them on a ventilator. It's not like it's one strain. It's not one strain causes one type of illness. I mean, the same strain will manifest in different ways in different people, which is really, unfortunate.
Do you think we were wrong at the beginning when they were comparing it to flu-like symptoms? I guess it's
so the biggest thing that I could say that they were wrong with doing is not testing initially. I mean, we should have been a little bit better prepared as a nation, and particularly in New York, and really been testing. At this point, they've tested hundreds of thousands of people. That should have been happening a month ago when people were starting to feel sick. Okay, you've got this. And I mean, in some of these other countries, they're tracking. You basically have to register your phone, and they track you based on your phone to make sure you're not actually going out in public.
Yeah.
It's quite challenging,
And they're also able to trace through phone interactions. In South Korea and in Taiwan, they were using that, where if you were infected, they could go and look at your history and see where you were in the GPS in relation to other people, which is wild. It seems like now it's more of a race to get more of an antibody test out now, doesn't it? Or it seems more like that's more necessary almost for us to get back.
This would be my take on that. I think that's actually a logical next step in as far as really kind of getting some of society back to where it was and getting things going again. I think the antibody test is useful in that regard, because I believe, if you've been infected and you've already got antibodies and you're kind of past it, it's a little bit easier for you to get back into the working place versus, people that haven't been exposed. And, those people that haven't been exposed are going to get sick. That's the one thing. I mean, the one thing I really want to say and kind of make clear is, the social distancing, it isn't to prevent you from getting sick. It's to prevent you from getting sick at a time when everybody else is sick. Because right now, I mean, literally the hospitals are flooded. A friend that works in the Mount Sinai system, they've got 1,600 patients still in their hospital right now with COVID. And that's one hospital, right? So, I mean, basically it's, the social distancing is to slow down or keep that curve down. But unfortunately, until there's a vaccine or some type of treatment, people are going to continue to get sick, but they just don't want, 4,000 people a day getting sick. If they can keep those numbers down, that's really the goal of social distancing, is to basically be able to take care of everyone that gets sick, in a rational kind of timeline versus, 100,000 people in, 2 weeks, which is, what happened in New York,
Well, it feels like there's this lack of understanding of how stretched our resources are in particularly the hospitals. And I keep hearing this argument of like, well, we have to choose between the economy and, the lives of some people. And I'm just like, well, a lot of it is you guys, the frontliners, are going to potentially end up getting sick from this. No, like there will be disproportionate amount.
That's actually what's kind of happening at this point. I mean, there are statistics all over the place, but they're potentially saying, 15, 20% of some of these of people getting sick are healthcare related workers, whether they be, environmental, cleaners in the hospital versus